Hi everyone, it's Gillian and welcome back to my channel Hooked and Smitten, where I read the pattern so you don't have to. Just in case you're interested in reading the pattern, the link for the pattern will be in the description below. For today's tutorial, we're working on this very beautiful summery halter top pattern. To make this halter top, I am using Hobby Lobby's 100% cotton. I love this cotton. All four yarn are medium weight yarn. This color is called red. For this color, the yellow color is called curry, and for the blue color, it is called turquoise. You're also going to need at least 3 stitch markers, your tapestry needle. You're also going to need a tape measure, and to make the halter top, I use a 3.5mm crochet hook, and that's what I got when I did my gauge swatch. So let's get started. For round 1, you're going to start with a magic ring. You're going to chain 2, and that chain 2 counts as your first double crochet. Inside the ring, you're going to make a double crochet. Along with the chain 2 in the beginning and that double crochet, you just double crochet 2 stitches together. You're going to chain 1. You're now going to double crochet 2 stitches together. You're going to wrap your hook, go into the circle, pull up a loop. You have 3 loops on your hook. You're going to wrap your hook and pull through 2 loops. You have 2 loops left. Wrap your hook, go into the circle, pull up a loop. You now have 4 loops on your hook. You're going to wrap your hook and pull through 2 loops. You have 3 loops left, and you're going to wrap your hook and pull through all 3. And that is your double crochet 2 stitches together. And you're going to repeat. First, you're going to chain 1 and double crochet 2 stitches together. 3 loops on your hook. You're going to pull through 2, wrap your hook, go into the circle, pull up a loop. You have 4 loops on your hook. Wrap your hook, pull through 2, and then wrap your hook and pull through 3. Chain 1. And you're going to repeat 5 more times. Chain 1 and repeat. At the end of the round, you're going to make a chain 1, and you're going to tighten your circle, and you're going to join with a slip stitch to the first stitch. And here you're going to cut your yarn, and you're going to be switching colors for the next round. At the end of round 1, you should have 8 double crochet 2 stitches together with chain 1 space in between. For round 2, we're going to be working in between the chain 1 spaces. If you decided not to switch colors and to make your granny squares as all one color, what you would do is that you would slip stitch to the chain 1 space, chain 3, and start your pattern like that. For those of us who are switching colors, my next color will be this contrasting yellow color, and I'm going to join with a standing double crochet. And to make a standing double crochet, I'm going to put a slip knot on my hook, I'm going to hold the tail end up against the fabric so it doesn't move around too much. I'm going to wrap my hook, and I'm going to go into the chain 1 space, and I'm going to pull up a loop. And I'm going to pull 2 loops off, and then 2, and that's going to be my standing double crochet. In that same space, I'm going to make 2 more double crochets. Chain 1. Working into the next chain 1 space, you're going to make 3 double crochets. Chain 1. And you're going to repeat 3 double crochets into the next chain 1 space. Chain 1. And you're going to repeat this sequence of stitches all the way around, and I will meet you at the end. At the end, you're going to chain 1 and you're going to join to the top of your first stitch with a slip stitch, and you're going to fasten off here. You're going to switch colors again for the next round. For round 3, we're going to be working into the chain 1 spaces, and you can have a look at the pattern and see what the pattern does. The pattern does something completely different than what I'm doing, and you can try both ways and see which one works best for you. I'm going to join into the chain 1 space with a standing double crochet. Into that same space, I'm going to make 2 more double crochets, and I'm going to create my first corner here for the granny square. I'm going to chain 2, and in that same space I'm going to make 3 more double crochets. Chain 1, and into the next chain 1 space, you're going to make a cluster of 3 double crochets. That is your granny cluster. You're going to chain 1, and into the next chain 1 space, you're going to make another corner, 3 double crochets, chain 2, and 3 double crochets into the same space. Chain 1, into the next chain 1 space, you're going to make your cluster of 3 double crochets. Chain 1, and you're just going to repeat this process all the way around, and I'll meet you at the end. You're going to chain 1 and join to the first stitch. For round 3, I'm going to cut my yarn here. The pattern has a round 4. The reason I am ending here at round 3 is because I'm going to use a join as you go method to join the squares together, and when you do that, you end up adding another round, and that's going to keep in line with my gauge swatches. If you're following along here, or whether you're doing you're following the pattern, because I am making the small to medium, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to make 6 more squares, and if you're making the medium to large, you're going to make a total of 8 squares. So we'll meet back here to join the squares together. I went ahead and made all 7 squares for my small medium pattern, and if you're making the medium to large, you're going to need to make 8 squares. If you have a favorite way of joining your granny squares, you can definitely use that method. I'm just going to show you how I join the granny squares for this pattern. So I'm just going to move these out of the way. And before you get joining your granny squares, you want to make sure that they're right side up and that they're facing, and because we have like different colors here, you want to make sure it's going to be in the sequence that you would like it to be. So to get started, I'm going to start with a standing double crochet, and I'm going to join in any of the corner spaces, and you can use a slip stitch and a chain 3 here if you choose to. In that same space, I'm going to make 2 more double crochets. Chain 1. Into the next chain 1, I'm going to make my cluster of 3 double crochets. Chain 1. Into the next chain 1, another cluster of 3 double crochets. Chain 1 and make your corner of 3 double crochets, chain 2 and 3 double crochets, all into the same space. Chain 2 and 3 more double crochets. Chain 1, working into the chain 1, you're going to make your cluster of 3 double crochets. Chain 1 and 3 double crochet cluster into the next chain 1. Chain 1 and into the chain 2, you're going to make 3 double crochets, and you're not going to finish this corner stitch. You're going to be adding your next square here. So you're just going to place 3 double crochets into that corner, and then you're going to make a chain 2. And I'm going to turn my work so that the last stitch I made is facing down, and I'm going to get ready to add the second square. Working into any of the corners, it doesn't matter which one. I'm going to make 3 double crochets. I'm going to remove my hook from the loop, and I'm going to be working into the chain 1 space on the right side here. I'm going to put the loop back onto the hook, and I'm going to pull that through. And now working into the chain 1 space on the left, I'm going to make 3 double crochets. I'm going to remove my hook from the loop again and into the next chain 1 space on the right. I'm going to pull it through and make a double crochet into the chain 1 space on the left. And I'm just going to repeat. With the square on the left, we're now going to be working into the chain 2 space, and I'm going to make 3 double crochets. Chain 1 and working into the chain 2 space on the right. You're going to pull that through, and you're going to make a chain 1. And working into the chain 2 space, you're going to make 3 more double crochets. And I'm going to show you that you've joined the squares, what that looks like. And you're going to continue, you're going to chain 1. And into the next space, you're going to make a cluster of 3 double crochets. chain 1, and make a cluster of 3 double crochets. Chain 1, and into the corner you're going to make a regular corner stitch of 3 double crochets, chain 2 and 3 more double crochets into the same space. Chain 1, and make a cluster of 3 double crochets into the chain 1, chain 1, and into the next space 3 double crochet cluster, chain 1, and you're going to make 3 double crochets into the corner space just like you did before. You're not going to complete the corner. You're going to chain 2, and you're going to turn your work in that direction, and you're going to get ready to add your next square. Working into the corner, you're going to make 3 double crochets. And you're just going to be repeating what you did with the second square. You're going to go into the chain 1 space on the right, pull your loop through, and into the space on the left, you're going to make 3 double crochets. And you're going to repeat with the square on the right. And now you're working into the chain 2 space. You're going to make 3 double crochets. You're going to chain 1, and into the chain 2 space on the right, you're going to pull that through, chain 1, and make 3 more double crochets into the chain 2 space on the left. Chain 1, and you're going to continue with your granny pattern of making 3 double crochet cluster into the next chain 1, chain 1, 3 double crochet cluster into the next chain 1, chain 1, and make a regular corner here, 3 double crochets, chain 2, and 3 double crochets into the same space. Chain 1, and repeat into the chain 1, 3 double crochet cluster, chain 1, 3 double crochet cluster into the next chain 1, and into the corner, the chain 2, you're going to make 3 double crochets, and you're not going to complete it. You're going to get ready to add your next square. You're going to chain 2, and you're going to add your next square, and you're just going to repeat this sequence until you have all your squares added, and we'll meet back here and we'll finish the bottom part of it. You should now have all 7 or 8 of your squares joined, and now we're going to be working on the bottom part to finish it off. So I'm going to flip this around. And in the corner here, if you don't have 3 double crochets, go ahead and place 3 double crochets. You're going to make a chain 2 and 3 more double crochets in that space to complete the corner. You're now going to chain 1, and you're going to be working into the next chain 1 space, and you're going to make your 3 double crochet cluster. You're going to chain 1 and 3 double crochet cluster into the next chain 1, chain 1, and now you're at the corner stitch. You can see right here, and there you already have 3 double crochets, and you're going to place 3 more double crochets into that corner to complete that corner stitch. You're going to chain 1, and into the chain 2 you're going to make a slip stitch. You're going to chain 1, and here you have another corner. You're going to place 3 double crochets into that space. You're going to continue by chaining 1 and making a cluster into the chain 1 of 3 double crochets. Chain 1 and another cluster into the chain 1. And here you're at your next corner. You're going to make a chain 1 and make 3 double crochets into that space. Chain 1, and you're going to slip stitch into the chain 2. Chain 1 and make 3 double crochets into the next corner. And you're going to repeat this sequence all the way until you have completed all 7 or 8 of your squares, and we'll meet back here and we'll start working on the top of the pattern. At the end, you're going to make your corner stitch into the corner here of 3 double crochets. Chain 2 and 3 double crochets into the same space. Chain 1, and now you're going to be working up the sides, and you're going to make your cluster into the chain 1, the 3 double crochet cluster. Chain 1 and 3 double crochet cluster into the next chain 1. Chain 1, and working into the corner stitch here, you're going to make 3 double crochets to complete your corner. And you're going to chain 2, and you're going to fasten off here. And then go into the first double crochet stitch here, and into the top of the chain 2. And then I'm going to go over to the standing double crochet stitch, and you're just going to go ahead and sew in your ends, and then when we come back, we're going to get ready to make the top portion of the halter top. For row 1, for the top, you want to make sure that your work is right side up, and you're going to be starting in the right hand corner here, and you're going to make your way over to the left hand corner. So starting in the right corner, you're going to put a slip knot on your hook. You're going to join with a slip stitch, and you can make your slip stitch any way you choose. You're going to make a slip stitch into the corner. You're going to chain 1, and in that same corner you're going to make 2 single crochets. And you're going to work into the next 3 single crochet, in the next 3 double crochets, and you're going to make a single crochet. So you're going to make 1 single crochet into the next 3 stitches. For this pattern, you're going to skip the chain 1 space, and you're going to skip the chain 1 space all the way to the end. So you're going to skip the chain 1 space and make a single crochet into the next 3 stitches. And you're going to repeat, skipping the chain 1 and single crochet into the next 3 stitches. And here you go again. You're going to skip the chain 1 and 1 single crochet into the next 3 stitches. When you get here to where there's a corner, as you can see, there's 3 double crochets, a chain in the middle, and 3 more double crochets. You're going to make a single crochet into that space. And you're going to continue. You're going to make 1 single crochet into the next 3 stitches. So here there is a corner also, but you're going to skip these 3 single crochets here, and you're going to skip the chain 1 here, and then you're just going to single crochet into the double crochet stitch. So 1 single crochet into each of those double crochets, skipping the chain 1 and single crochet into the next 3 stitches. And you're going to repeat this until you get to the next corner. And here you're at the corner stitch again, and you're going to place 1 single crochet into that space, and you're going to ignore these single crochets here. They're kind of like facing down. You're going to ignore that, and you're also going to ignore the chain 1 space here, and you're going to go and work directly into the double crochet. And this is going to be a repeat all the way to the end. So continue with the sequence of stitches, and I'll meet you at the end of the row. At the end of the row, you're going to place 1 single crochet into the chain 2 space on the end. And at the end, you should have a total of 93 stitches if you have 7 squares, and if you have 8 squares, you should have 107 stitches. And that is the end of row 1 for the top portion of the halter top. For row 2 of the top, you're going to chain 4, 2, 3, and 4, and you're going to turn your work. And that chain 4 counts as a double crochet plus a chain 1. You're going to skip the next stitch, and into the next stitch you're going to make a double crochet, chain 1, and repeat. Skip the next stitch and a double crochet into the next, chain 1, skip the next stitch and a double crochet into the next, chain 1 and repeat. Skip 1, double crochet into the next, chain 1 and repeat. Skip 1 and a double crochet into the next, chain 1. And you're going to repeat this sequence of stitches all the way to the end of the row, and I will meet you there. At the end you have 2 stitches left. You're going to make a chain 1, skip 1 and make a double crochet into the last stitch. And that is the end of row 2 for the halter top. For row 3 you're going to chain 1 and you're going to turn, and that chain 1 doesn't count as a stitch. You're going to make a single crochet into the first stitch, into the first double crochet stitch, and you're going to make a single crochet into the chain 1 space, and you're going to repeat single crochet into the double crochet and a single crochet into the chain 1, and repeat single crochet into the double crochet stitch and a single crochet into the chain 1, and you're going to repeat all the way to the end of the row. Single crochet into the double crochet and into the chain 1 space. Continue with this sequence of stitches and I will meet you at the end of the row. You're going to make a single crochet into the space here, remembering that you did a chain 4 in the beginning, which was works as a double crochet and a chain 1. So you're going to make a single crochet into that chain 1 space, and then you're going to make a single crochet into the third chain, 1, 2, 3. And that is the end of row 3 for the halter top. For row 4 you're going to start decreasing your pattern. You're going to start by making a chain 1 and you're going to turn your work, and you're going to skip the very first stitch on the end, and into the next stitch you're going to make a single crochet. You're going to make 1 single crochet into the next stitch, and before we go any further we're going to put a stitch marker into that very first stitch on the end, and that is going to come in handy later because that is where you're going to put your ties for the back of the halter top. So we're going to place a stitch marker there, and you're going to continue by making a single crochet into each stitch until you get to the end of the row. So continue with this sequence of stitches and I will meet you at the end. At the end of row 4, when you have 2 stitches left, you're going to single crochet those 2 stitches together. To single crochet 2 stitches together, you're going to go directly into the stitch. You're going to pull up a loop. You have 2 loops on your hook. You're going to go into the next stitch, pull up a loop. You now have 3 loops on your hook. You're going to wrap your hook and pull through those 3 loops. And you're going to go ahead and you're going to add your next stitch marker here for the next tie for the halter top, for the back of the halter top. And that is the end of row 4. For row 5, you're going to repeat row 4. You're going to chain 1 and you're going to turn your work, and you're going to skip the first stitch with the where you have the stitch marker, and you're going to go into the next stitch and make a single crochet. You're going to make a single crochet into each stitch until you get to the end of the row. Continue with this sequence of stitches and I will meet you at the end. At the end of the row, you have 2 stitches left, and you're going to single crochet those 2 stitches together. You're going to go in to the stitch, you're going to pull up a loop with 2 loops on your hook. You're going to go directly into the next stitch, pull up a loop. You now have 3 loops on your hook, and you're going to wrap your hook and pull through all 3 loops. To continue with the pattern, you're going to keep on repeating row 4 for the next 34 rows until the pattern reaches 4 to 6 inches across or 12 to 15 centimeters. So go ahead and do that, and we will meet back here to put on the finishing edges and to make the ties for the halter top. So now that you've completed your decreasing rows, the upper part, you should have the upper part of the halter top should look like this. And one of the things that I forgot to mention in the beginning when I mentioned that you should end with 5 to 6 centimeters or 12 to 15 inches, you also want to end with an odd number of stitches. So once you have that, you're going to begin finishing row number 1. And finishing row number 1 is going to be what you did in row 2. Row 2 here where you did the double crochet and the chain 1 in between. So you're going to repeat this for finishing row number 1. So to begin, you're going to chain 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, and then you're going to turn the work, and that chain 4 is going to count as a double crochet and a chain 1. So you're going to skip the next stitch and make a double crochet into the next stitch, chain, double crochet, chain 1, skip the next stitch and double crochet into the next, chain 1, and you're just going to repeat that all the way to the end. Skip 1, double crochet into the next, chain 1. At the end of the row, you will have those 2 stitches left. You're going to chain 1, skip 1, and double crochet into the last stitch. For finishing row number 2, you're going to repeat what you did in row 3. You're going to chain 1, and you're going to turn your work, and you're going to single crochet into that first stitch, and you're going to single crochet into the chain 1 space, single crochet into the double crochet, single crochet into the chain 1, and you're going to repeat that all the way to the very end. At the end, you're going to make a single crochet into the chain 1 space, and you're going to make a single crochet into the third chain, 1, 2, and 3. And here you're going to fasten off. You're going to cut your yarn. And next up, we're going to be working on the edges and making the ties. To make the tie on the bottom, I'm going to do something that's a little bit different from what the pattern states. In the pattern wants you to make a chain of 35 inches and then attach it to where the stitch marker is, and then you will work single crochet up the edges. What I'm going to do, I'm going to attach where the stitch marker is with a slip stitch, and then I'm going to make a chain of 35 inches, and I'm going to slip stitch down that chain because I just wanted the chain to be a little bit more sturdy. So that's what I'm going to do. So I'm going to start by putting a slip knot on my hook, and I'm going to insert into the space with a stitch marker. I'm just going to move the stitch marker, and there I'm going to pull that through, and I'm going to make a slip stitch. And then I'm going to make a chain of 35 inches, and that number is going to be different for everyone. I did do a sample at one point, and I think I end up with somewhere between 150 to 160 stitches. So we're just going to chain until we all have 35 inches, and we'll meet back here. For me, I chained 160 stitches, and that gave me 35 inches. So now what I'm going to do, I'm going to slip stitch down the chain, and to make a slip stitch, you're going to skip the first stitch from the hook, and you're going to go into the stitch, and you're going to pull up a loop, and you're just going to pull that through, and you're going to repeat. You can also use single crochets here if you choose to, and you can also work into the back bump, which is behind here, if you choose to. So continue working down the chain, and I will meet you at the end. And I'm going to make a slip stitch into that first stitch where I made the original slip stitch. Now what we're going to do, we're going to be working up the side, and we're going to make one single crochet into each row of the single crochet stitches. So working into that first row here, you're going to make a single crochet, and you can make a single crochet into the next row. Before we go any further, I'm going to place a stitch marker into that first stitch, and that way we can keep track of the stitches we have on this side, so we can repeat the same amount of stitches on the opposite side. And you're just going to continue working that way, making sure to put a single crochet into each row. So continue with this sequence, and I'll meet you at the top. Into this space, I'm going to place 3 single crochets. And into the last stitch at the top here, I'm going to make 1 single crochet. And you want to keep track of the stitches from the stitch marker to the last stitch here, and you want to write that down because you want to repeat that on the opposite side. Make sure that those stitches are even. So here we're going to make the strap for the back of the neck, and you're going to chain an amount of stitches that equals 18 inches. So go ahead and do that, and we'll meet back here once you have 18 inches. 18 inches for me was about 80 stitches. And you're going to repeat the same as you did when you made the bottom strap, and you're going to slip stitch into each stitch all the way to the end. So you're going to skip the first stitch, and into the next stitch you're going to make a slip stitch. And you're going to repeat this sequence all the way to the end, and I will meet you there. And you're going to make a slip stitch into that stitch where you made the single crochet. Working across the top, you're going to slip stitch into each stitch until you get to the end. Now you're going to be working the left side the same way you did the right side, starting with the 18-inch chain for the neck. Then you're going to make a single crochet into each row all the way down to the stitch marker. Once you get to the stitch marker, you're going to make a slip stitch here, and you're going to make a chain of 35. And if you are doing what I do, then you're going to slip stitch down that chain and fasten off by making a slip stitch into that same space. So go ahead and repeat what you did on the right side, on the left side, and I will meet you at the end where the stitch marker is. You're going to slip stitch into that last stitch where you made the slip stitch which had the stitch marker, and you're going to chain one, and you're going to cut your yarn, and you're going to fasten off here. And you're going to sew in your ends. I'm going to sew in this one. Just go ahead and weave in the rest of your ends. I'm just going to flip this around so that the right side is facing down. And for the straps, you're just going to lace it up the same way you would a shoelace. And you're going to go into the chain one spaces right here, chain one space. And you're going to do the same, the strap on the other side, and just find that chain one space. and find the next chain one space, which is right here, and you just go back and forth. So very much the same way you will lace up your shoe. And that is the end of the tutorial, guys. Thank you so much for stopping by my channel. Please like and subscribe for more video tutorials, and I will see you in the next video.